Hey, this is Phoenix's Way. Is there such a thing as a selfless act in relationships, or is every action driven by self-interest? Let's untangle this thread today. At the crux of it all, we're all beings striving to survive and, yes, thrive. But what role does self-interest play in our relationships? Let's start by understanding self-interest. It's an inherent part of human behavior, underpinning our every action, decision, and interaction. It's not necessarily a negative thing, rather it's a survival mechanism, a guiding compass that directs our actions toward our own benefit. Now let's bring relationships into the picture. Relationships are complex webs of interactions that are, believe it or not, often influenced by this self-interest. You might argue that love, care, and empathy drive our relationships. True, but dig a little deeper and you'll find self-interest lurking beneath these warm and fuzzy feelings. Think about it. When we help a friend, aren't we also seeking the satisfaction of being useful, the security of reciprocity, or the joy of strengthening our bond? When we express love, aren't we also hoping for love in return, for the sense of belonging, or for the validation of our feelings? Now, does this mean we're all selfish? Not exactly. Here's where it gets interesting. We can categorize people into two types. Those who are aware of their self-interest and those who are the unaware ones may appear selfless on the surface, but their actions are still guided by the subtle pull of self-interest. They might help an elderly lady cross the street, believing they're doing it purely for her benefit. Yet underneath, they might be seeking societal approval or self-validation. Then there are those who are aware. They acknowledge that their actions, even when seemingly altruistic, are driven by their needs or desires. They don't deny or hide this reality. Instead, they embrace it, allowing for more authentic interactions. While it may seem harsh to think that all our actions are driven by self-interest, understanding this can lead to more authentic relationships. Society often dictates how we should behave, but how does this influence our self-interest in relationships, particularly when we encounter others in distress? This question is essential for comprehending the intricate network of interactions we engage in daily. Societal norms and expectations mold our behavior, often pushing us to assist others not necessarily out of compassion, but to ease our own unease. Consider cognitive dissonance, a psychological theory proposing that we are internally driven to align our attitudes and beliefs. When there's a conflict, we feel psychological disturbance. To reduce this strain, we may adjust our attitudes or beliefs or reinterpret our actions to conform to our existing mindset. Let's examine this through the lens of relationships. Imagine assisting an older neighbor to cross the street. You might narrate this yourself and others as an act of pure altruism. However, underneath you might also be seeking societal validation or simply because you want to alleviate your suffering that you feel for the other. This isn't to imply that acts of kindness are veiled in self-interest. Yet it's crucial to understand that societal pressures often lead us to misjudge our motives. We may persuade ourselves and others that we are acting selflessly when in fact our actions might be fueled by a quest for acceptance, affirmation, or even an unconscious fear of social ostracism. This cognitive dissonance, this chasm between our actual motives and those we project to the world, can fabricate a false narrative of our behaviors. It can fool us into believing that our actions stem from sheer generosity, when in reality, they might be more self-centered than we're willing to acknowledge. Recognizing societal influence and our personal discomfort can assist us in comprehending our genuine motivations in relationships. By admitting the sway of societal norms and expectations, we can start to untangle the intricate relationship between self-interest and the perception of selflessness in our actions. This consciousness can lay the groundwork for more genuine relationships and a more precise comprehension of our own motivations. It's not about evading the discomfort, but about understanding why we choose to assist. How does awareness of self-interest contribute to more authentic relationships? Well, let's imagine a person who is fully aware. A person who understands that all actions are ultimately driven by self-interest. This self-awareness doesn't make them selfish or heartless. Instead, it brings clarity that every act, even the seemingly altruistic ones, are shaped by our own needs and desires. As this image fades, a new image emerges, an image of a powerful tool in fostering authenticity in relationships. This tool is awareness. It helps us to be honest, not just with others, but more importantly with ourselves. It dismantles the illusion that we act purely for others And in doing so, it liberates us from the shackles of pretense and hypocrisy. As we watch this image fade, another picture comes into focus. It encourages us to stop performing, to stop roles, and to start being ourselves. Now let's delve into an interesting concept, the idea of a holonic university context. It's a perspective where the other is essentially always us. It's the understanding that in the grand scheme of things, we are all interconnected. As we transition smoothly from this image, we come to understand that by helping another, we're essentially helping a part of ourselves. This understanding can profoundly transform our relationships. It can lead us to act with more compassion, more empathy, and more understanding. As this image slowly fades away, a more meaningful and genuine connection with others takes its place. But remember, this isn't about manipulating our actions to serve our self-interest in a cunning way. It's about acknowledging that self-interest is a part of human nature. It's about accepting that it's okay to want something for ourselves, even when we're doing something for others. It's about being honest with ourselves about our motives and intentions. As we conclude, the image of self-interest and interconnectedness fades in, leading us to form more authentic relationships. It guides us to act with more sincerity and less pretense. And in the end, it can help us to truly help others, not by doing things for them, but by empowering them to do things for themselves. By acknowledging our self-interest, we can foster more genuine connections with others and truly help them. The last image fades away, leaving behind a profound thought. So, is helping others inherently selfish? We find ourselves in a paradox when we consider the nature of others. It's not as black and white as it seems. To help someone may seem altruistic, a pure act of kindness, but underneath, it may be serving our own needs and interests. Now, with the visuals gradually transitioning, consider this. Sometimes not helping can be the greatest help of all. It can provide an opportunity for personal growth and self-realization. For instance, if I continuously help someone screw in a light bulb as the next set of images fade in, I may be preventing them from learning to do it themselves. In this sense, my helping actually hindering their path to independence and self-reliance. This is not to say that we should abandon acts of kindness, rather should be aware of our motivations. In the end, it's not about whether our actions are self-interested, but about being aware of our motivations and striving for authenticity in our relationships. As the imagery fades away, we are left to ponder on this thought. Thank you for watching The Illusion of Altruism, a deep dive into self-interest. We've journeyed through the intricate web of relationships, self-interest, societal influences, and the paradox of helping others. As we transition from one image to another with a fade, the question remains, is true altruism just an illusion? Are all our actions motivated by self-interest, even when we're helping others? It's a thought-provoking question and one that we should all contemplate. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with those who believe are altruistic. Let's spark a conversation and delve deeper into our understanding of self-interest altruism. As we fade into our closing image, remember the importance of self-awareness and authenticity in relationships. It's not about whether our actions are self-interested, but about being aware of our motivations and striving for authenticity in our relationships. After all, our relationships are the mirrors that reflect ourselves back to us. So let's strive to be authentic, aware, and responsible in our actions. And let's continue to question, learn, and grow together. This is Phoenix's Way.